The fifth step in the Seder is Magid, which translates as telling the story of the Exodus of Egypt. And Magid is one of the two essential mitzvahs, commandments that we have the night of the Seder. The other being eating of the matzah, which is based on the verse, we went out in haste from the land of Egypt, and the Torah tells us numerous times that there's a commandment to eat the matzah. In the Torah, we do have also the idea that you're supposed to tell over the story, because it says that you should tell your children on that day, saying, and it starts telling the story of the Exodus. We also know it's done in question and answer form, because the next paragraph in the Torah says, when your child will ask you tomorrow, saying, and they'll ask you the questions, and they say, Mazos, what is this? And you should start telling them exactly what happened in the Exodus of Egypt. So the mitzvah of telling over the Haggadah, or the Exodus, the story of the Exodus, could be done by we could read the Torah, we could read the story, we could tell it over in our own words, but in the time of the Mishnah, it's commonly understood that in the time of the Mishnah, they started writing it down in somewhat of a formula. And it might have been finished in the time of the Mishnah, might have been later. The time of the Mishnah ended, which were rabbinic rabbis who were part of the academy at that time, and that period ended in the year 195 CE. And probably it was at least started at that time, and it might have been finished within the next number of years afterwards. The Mishnah, though, is always written in Hebrew, and it's written in a rabbinic Hebrew, and that is exactly how we have the whole Haggadah, except for this first paragraph in Magid, which is Holach Ma'anya, this poor man's bread. That first paragraph, that introductory paragraph, is written in Aramaic. And more than likely, the Haggadah was written at one time, and then this one paragraph was added later on, because the language, the lingua franca in that time, was Aramaic. That was true in the time of the Mishnah also, but the scholars were still writing in Hebrew. Later on, the Talmud, which is a commentary on the Mishnah, was already written in Aramaic, because that was already written in a language for the common person to understand. And we also have a number of prayers which are written in Aramaic. One which is most commonly known is the Kaddish that we say. And the Kaddish is a mixture, if you look at it carefully, it's a mixture of both Hebrew and Aramaic, because that was what people were understanding. It was almost like Yiddish today, which has Yiddish and plus Hebrew words, or people who speak English still throw in a lot of different Hebrew words. It's a mixture of different languages. That's what the Kaddish is. But the paragraph of Halach Ma'anya is written in Aramaic, and that was because that was what was known in the street at that time. And here what it refers to is that this is the poor man's bread, which our forefathers have eaten in the land of Egypt. And it says whoever wants to come could come and eat, and whoever needs could partake in the Pesach and the offering. Now, I think it's obvious that this wasn't really referring to the offering, because the offering wasn't existing at that time when this was written. It means the symbolic offering that we have, which is the reenactment of the night of Pesach when we have our Seder. And that's very clear, because actually in Jewish law, in the time of the temple, you couldn't just open your door and say whoever wants to come and eat. They had to be invited beforehand. That's just one of the rules of eating the Korban Pesach, eating the offering. And therefore this is obviously of a later time, and it's reflecting of the Jewish sort of exile at the time, and that's why it ends off L'shana haba ba'ardi Yisrael. This year, Hashat HaHacha, this year we are here in exile, L'shana haba ba'ardi Yisrael, but the coming year we should be in the land of Israel. Hashat Avdei, this year we are slaves, we are servants. L'shana haba b'nei choron, in the coming year, hopefully we will be b'nei choron, we will be free once again.